Like, yo, the fucking Jets should go get him because I think Devontae Adams follows.
Maybe could they afford that though?
The Jets, I think they. I don't think they had that big of a payroll. I don't know. Do
Huh.
they?
I don't
Do they
know.
have a different pay?
I haven't really went and broke down that thing. That's a lot of money though between the two.
And it is, but with that defense and those two, I think
Oh
they're
yeah, yeah. You plug
immediate
those two
contenders.
in, they're instant competitors. Even I mean, they're doing it now without them. So yeah, you plug in just Carr alone, they
They're
like
better.
yeah they jump up a while. But yeah, you add Devontae too. That's crazy.
Welcome to Straight Shooting with the boys. It's the boy Diaz. It's
And
the
J
boy.
Lo,
It's the boy J Lo over there.
yes sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you
We tried to get the
gotta
Raider
pump
fans
that
on this week, but none of them called back. So
No, no,
I think I,
it's that.
I think they left. I think they left their team outside the stadium, like the team left Derek Carr outside the stadium. Never mind. We'll go on.
No. Yeah, the Raider fans have left the chat. That's the growing
Yo,
thing right about now.
they moved to Vegas, and then Derek Carr leads a fucking dumpster fire of a team. You know, let's just get right into Derek Carr.
Let's
Derek
go.
Carr leads the dumpster fire of a team into the playoffs. Like
Mm-hmm.
lose their coach. Another player gets in a tragic accident with a DUI. Like he did something stupid. The person that happened to was tragic. And then he still leads this team to the playoffs. I think there was another one too. A cornerback I think got
Corner,
arrested.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
corner got arrested too. Their first round draft picks, both
and
of
he
their first
still
round draft.
he still takes his team to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Then the next year, not only does he take the team to the playoffs, this offseason he calls the best wide receiver in the league. He's like, "Yo, it's time." He leaves the best quarterback in the NFL to come play
to
with
go
you.
play with this guy. Yeah,
You hire Josh McDaniel, who's known to be a dumpster fire, out on his own. He fucked
and
up
a
the
cheater.
Broncos and a cheater. And then at the end of the season, when it ain't working, when you should have won, because Derek Carr put you in a position to win 5 or 6
They
other
they
games,
they
you should have
scapegoated
won.
Derek Carr.
They kicked Derek Carr out the building.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then you put Stidham in, who you basically handpicked because he played for you in New England, and you put him in against the scariest defense in the NFL. That's a smart decision on a coach's. That's a smart coach's decision, man. I think they fucked Derek Carr personally. I mean, I'm a fan of Derek Carr. I know you're not. I'm a fan of Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr. I think he's a top 10 quarterback for sure. I think with the right coach, he could be top five. I'm not saying anything, but he could be top five with Kyle Shanahan. I think he has better skills than Matt Ryan. He's more athletic. I think he's a
Yeah.
better Brock Purdy. And Brock, you see what Brock Purdy's doing. He's a stronger arm, obviously. Um, I think if he was with Shanahan, he would definitely be a top five quarterback. That's my take on it. I think he got screwed with different coaches for the last what he had like 5 or 6 different coaches over the last 10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He had the Alex Smith experience.
yeah.
Should
And he
happen.
never whined, never cried, never complained.
No, no, he was about that team, man. He lived and breathed the Raiders. That's the one thing I will give him. That dude was 100% a
A
Raider
Raider.
through and through. He
Yeah.
didn't make excuses. You could tell he was passionate. He cared about his team and about football. And as much as I dislike him as a player, because I think talent wise, there's no question. Dude got an arm. Dude can throw it with the best. I think he makes dumb decisions,
Oh yeah,
similar
for
to
sure.
similar to Dak. I think like they're almost the same type of player. I think
Yeah.
they make those big throws, but then they also make dumb decisions. So me personally, like I would take a Purdy or an Alex Smith or that type of person in this offense because you don't have to take those big plays. But at the same time, I understand why he takes those shots and why he takes those risks because that defense doesn't give him an
It's
opportunity to do
terrible.
it. Yeah,
So,
they're garbage.
so you compared him to Dak, which Dak feel has no no reason for what he does. Like
That's
he's
true.
always had a great offensive line. He's always had a great running back behind him. Now he
Mhm.
has two good running backs behind him, and he's definitely had a great defense the last couple of years. So for him, his reason for doing all that, I don't give it.
No, yeah,
I don't give him the same flexibility as I will Derek Carr because Derek Carr has been in a dumpster
that's
fire of
true.
a
That's
franchise.
true. No,
He played on a baseball field for the first 7 years of his career. He has had several different coaches. He's always trying to make up for the offensive line because they've never
Mhm.
had a really great offensive line. And just recently, the last 3 years, they've had a great running back. And even the running back, they screwed the running back. They didn't pick up his 5th year option. If I was Josh Jacobs, I'm going to another team too. Fuck that.
it sounds like he's ready to go, dude.
Yeah.
His whole demeanor, what he's saying. I don't think he's on that team next year unless they pay him like
So
big time.
so there's two teams that I think Derek Carr should go to, and both of them I think Devontae Adams will follow. The New York Jets or the Indianapolis Colts. I think if you go to the Indianapolis Colts, obviously you have to wait and see who that head coach is. But that defense is ready. The offensive line
Mhm.
is good. So that would probably be the safest space for him because the
Yeah,
offensive line is so good. I think the New York Jets is probably the better choice for him because that defense is amazing and young,
yeah,
and they're going to get
I agree.
better.
I
And I
agree.
think either way, I think he goes to either team. I think Devontae Adams could follow, and I think they could win a lot of games next year. And I think if he goes to New York, I think it gives the ability for Josh Jacobs to follow too.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I could see it playing out that way. I was talking to my boy about it, and I was saying the way it's going to shape out. And I said it in that group chat too. It's going to be. I feel like at this point it's Derek Carr and Jimmy. Even though I know people want to talk about Jimmy's ability and everything else, but he's still a winning quarterback, and the teams that he's tied to need quarterbacks. So I could see Derek Carr is obviously going to be the more sought after. I still think
Oh
talent
yeah,
wise, he's probably the best available. Other than Rodgers and Brady, they're still up in the air too. So depending on what they do, could determine.
I think Rogers is stuck because his dead cap hit is like 50 million or something like that.
Yeah, but Las Vegas is going to need a quarterback, and I could
Yeah,
see that. I could see that
they
happening. So
I think if for Rodgers to leave, they'll have to like re up his like do a new deal and then make it to where he can like the dead cap hit is gone, right? If that happens, we know
yeah,
he's leaving.
yeah.
Um,
Which I can see
Brady,
happening. So
yeah,
you get the draft capital back for him, right? Like that. I feel like he hasn't left, but I feel like so that happening. If for whatever reason, scenario one, he goes to the Raiders. I don't see Devontae leaving because at that
oh
point,
hell no, yeah, he's
why would
back
you
with
leave?
his yeah,
He's back with his quarterback. But you're putting Rodgers in a situation that it's still going to be similar to this year. Like I know they're pushing for the playoffs right now, but their defense isn't that great in Green Bay, and that's what's gonna and at least he'll have Devontae. So
yeah.
maybe
I think if Rodgers goes to the Raiders, the defense gets better by virtue of like he's making smarter decisions. He doesn't turn the
yeah,
ball over as
that's
much,
true.
right? You'll have more points on the board. You'll give
Mhm.
Chandler Jones and Max Crosby more opportunity to pass rush rather than having to play defense on the run. I think that defense will get better based on that. Not obviously not elite better, but better.
Yeah,
Um, I think I still think that Brady is the number one option on the quarterback
that's true.
market.
I was gonna say that next too.
Uh, and
Uh,
I still think Miami might be the team that he goes to because I obviously we see
I think,
Tua with another concussion
dude, I
and
think two is done. I
he
personally,
I think yeah I agree with that actually 1,000% because I think Brady should go there and I think if Brady goes there that team is ready to go like that team is
that's true. It's a good point.
ready,
I could see
yeah.
that happening.
And then I still think Brady's the number one option. I don't think the Niners are in on Brady, especially after
No,
how Brady's been
I,
doing.
I don't think the Niners are in on any free agent quarterback. If anything, they're going to pick up like a Matt Ryan in the offseason just to
Yeah,
have him as the quarterback, clipboard
yeah.
headphone kind of
Third
guy.
string,
But
third
yeah,
string because you never know when you might need it.
that's
Um,
exactly and he can help develop. He knows the system.
Trey,
Purdy. He can help develop both of them, Purdy and
yeah.
Trey at that point. So
So
I
yeah,
can
I
see that
think
happening. But yeah, I don't see them making any splashes with the free agency only because I think we're
But
proving
look where
now
he's
that
done. Yeah,
between the system we're pretty good with what we got. So
agreed. And so I think Brady's the number one option. I think Carr now is the number two option, unless Rodgers becomes available, obviously. But I think Carr's the two option, and Garoppolo
yeah,
will be the three option. In either way, I think the three teams that are going to need a quarterback: New York, Indianapolis, and Miami. The three teams
mhm.
that need a veteran quarterback and to win, right? And I think all three could win with a veteran quarterback. I think
Yeah,
I said it
yeah.
earlier in the year. I think I said it earlier on the podcast. Like I bet New York fucking regrets not trading for, and Indianapolis regrets not trading for
Colts
Jimmy
for
G.
sure. The Colts are for
Yeah.
sure by kicking themselves in the
So,
butt right now. But,
so I do see Jimmy getting a 2 or 3 year contract from one of
mhm.
those teams, but he'll be the third option. I think for sure Brady's
Yeah,
going first.
I think you're right. I think wherever Brady and Carr fall, that's where it kind of decides where Jimmy goes. But it also depends on the money. You know what
Yeah,
they're going to be having to shell out for those types of quarterbacks versus what they have to shell out for Jimmy because they won't have to shell out as much. So I think
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think out of the three teams, I think it falls. I think Carr ends up in the on the Colts. To be honest, he has Jonathan Taylor. He has a good
yeah.
defense. I think
And you got
that's his best option in my opinion. Jets would be
one of
great
the
with that
better
defense.
owners too. You
Yeah,
got one
yeah,
of the better
exactly.
owners in the NFL. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think he's more of a player's owner. Like he's
Yeah. Mhm.
fun. He's energetic. He doesn't like micromanage. He lets the coaches do their thing. He steps in
But
when he needs to step
that'll
in.
be
But
that'll be I think it depending on who they hire as a head coach. I know Berto's
right,
talking about Sean Payton in Dallas, and that's a possibility. I could
yeah.
definitely see that happening.
Especially if
But
they lose in the first 2 rounds.
yeah, but I mean, if I'm Sean Payton, depending on what happens with I mean, Dak, if he still continues to do what he's doing and lose them games, which I feel like he's done, he's won some games too. So I mean, that's cool. But I feel like he's putting them at risk. I guess Carr doesn't really do much different than
Then
him,
that,
but
yeah.
so I
I
mean,
think
yeah, it would make
I,
sense for him to go to Dallas.
I actually like that Sean Payton to Dallas thing. I didn't think about it until right now. The reason I do is because the defensive coordinator Sean Payton picked is a 3-4 defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. And Michael Parsons is a great D4, three
True,
four DN outside linebacker. So
that's true.
that could
I
really
think
open up his game. So we saw what Alden Smith did. I think Michael Parsons might even be better than Alden Smith because he can play the pass. So I don't know that I would actually that's a good fit. I never thought
yeah,
about it. And you
yeah,
get rid of Kellen Moore. You got a good offensive coach. Yeah,
yeah.
that could they could be and that would make Dallas scary because that coach is a
Dude,
proven coach.
yeah, yeah. So that when he said that, I'm like, shit. He's probably
Yeah.
right. So at that point, whoever decides Colts, I think Colts and the Jets are the most appealing teams. Obviously Miami too, but that's we're gonna really be dependent on what they decide they want to do. With Tua,
So
which I think Tua's done. So it
So this year there was a report for the Colts that they have never hired or sorry, not that they never hired, that they don't have that many African American employees, which they had. They had Tony Dungy and he won a Super Bowl for him. So I'm not saying that they don't. What I'm saying is that came out earlier this
mhm,
year. I wonder if that gives them added motive to go get D'Amico Ryans.
Jamaica. Yeah, that was where I was going to. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility, and it would be a similar situation to the Jets. They're already set up with the defensive players. He already knows what to do with the defense, and then he can
Right.
go, and let the
And
offense
they
do that. So
and they fit his scheme. He knows some of the players there already.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
That would make the team a lot better really quickly. It just
mhm,
depends on who he brings for his offensive side. And if he brings anybody from the 49ers from the offensive side, that would definitely make that a prime spot for
mhm,
Jimmy G.
mhm.
Um, so I can
It's
see
true
that. I don't know. It's a lot. There's a lot of puzzles to put together here.
for
But
sure.
I
But on the topic of Derek Carr, though, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of him. I've never really been super sold. Now again, that being said, he's still like you said, he's still a top 10 quarterback. There's not very many elite quarterbacks in the NFL anymore. A lot of the quarterbacks nowadays they're either really good at running or they can distribute the
they're
ball. You
cookie
don't really
cutter.
have you don't
It's
really
like
have
yeah. It's like
these elite
you're
top tier
basically
guys.
putting the puzzle together for the coach. they
Yeah,
don't make the
yeah,
decisions on their
yeah.
own anymore.
Mhm.
And that's why you see a lot of the dysfunction in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like, "Yo, motherfucker, I've been here for
I'm
20.
fucking Tom
I've been
Brady.
here for 20." Yeah, and you saw it with Aaron Rodgers too. Aaron Rodgers like,
Yeah,
"Yo, like, my coach is what? He's 33. Like, I've
yeah,
seen more football than he's been alive." So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
so they both had that issue with the coaches trying to make them cookie cutter, and neither one of those players are going to be cookie cutter. And
No.
that's what you see a lot. Like, I think that's what makes the quarterback position a lot easier to draft now because we see a lot of people
Yeah,
coming in and just easy being able to pick up something real quick. I think it's just because it's cookie cutter. Like
yeah.
you make one,
They don't have
you're
to. They
making.
don't have to do as much as they used to. They're not the
Yeah,
Paytons and the guys, having to figure out the entire offense and like move stuff around and put pieces in. Like you don't have to
yeah.
be that anymore. So
It's
that's what I
also
mean. So
like the only players you see now that, for example, like Tom Brady, he really like stinks quarters 1 through 3, and
mm,
even like half the fourth quarter. But once we get down to 2 minutes, I think I've seen 2 weeks out of the last three where he's scored 14 points in the last like three
it's like
minutes
yeah,
because now he's like, I'm not listening to you no more. I'm making my own decisions,
yeah.
and he's doing what he's got to do. So I think we're seeing that with like you see that, and those are the elite quarterbacks that can do that. You got like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. You used to have Ben Roethlisberger doing it. This year, it's just really Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's no one else that can really.
That's what I mean. There's not that tier of quarterbacks anymore. I feel like there's a couple of elite guys, and then there's all the rest of the quarterbacks. I feel like there's like you got like two, and then you got like 10 to 12 players right here, and then you have just all the other guys that are kind of just trying to figure out their system at this point,
Right.
right underneath them. So that's what I mean. So it's as good as Derek Carr is. I've never really been like, and you know maybe it's because I grew up, but I'm a USC fan. I'm a Niner fan, and he went from Fresno State to
States of
to
Oakland,
the
yeah.
Raiders. So there's definitely a possibility
So
that I'm a little skewed there. But that all being said, you don't treat a player like that. Not a player that's been as faithful, that has dealt with all the BS that you've had to do, that you guys have put him through, and then just be like, nah, let's just bench him because we want to trade him. I mean,
yeah,
I get it. From a business standpoint, it makes sense, right? You're going to trade this
right.
guy away. Why would you put him into the Lions Den with the most aggressive team in all of football and say, go play the next 2 games, play this game against the best defense in the league that likes to hit quarterbacks and likes to get after you. Don't get hurt in that game, and then also don't get hurt again the following week. Like
Right.
it's if you're going to try to leverage him being healthy, him still being a top 10 quarterback, like the whole issue with Jimmy and what we fell into, which it worked out in our favor, but a lot of the reason why we weren't able to get Jimmy and why he didn't end up on another team was because of his injury. So it's one of those things where like if you want to leverage that, I get it. Like he's healthy right now. He still had a good season. Like they're going to be able to leverage that. The owner's going to be able to say, like, dude, it's still Derek Carr. Like, yeah, we
Right.
benched him, but we benched him from a business standpoint, not because of his play and not because he's not talented enough. So I get it. As a player, as a teammate, you're going to be upset. Even as a fan, you're going to be upset because you watched this guy endure. Just like a lot of fans, not me personally, but a lot of fans were upset when they benched Alex Smith for Kaepernick, and we had that same issue. Is how are they going to do that? Alex Smith's been on this team. He's dealt with all the BS. Like he deserves this. And I'm like, but it's a business
I agree.
decision. They're doing what's
Yeah.
best for the team. So
That was a rough one too because he was like 6-1 or something like that. Had the best game of
yeah,
his career, and then gets injured, and it's like, dang, that sucks. But at the same time, like the team opened up once we got Kaepernick, and the same thing that's happening right now with Purdy. Like
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like it's the same exact thing. Like we put Purdy in there, the game opens up. It's like the team looks explosive. It's like they're running the same plays, but they're
yeah,
getting big
yeah,
chunk yards. It's like, what's the
yeah,
difference? The difference is we have a different quarterback in there, and it was like, and that goes into something that I saw this week. Jimmy Garoppolo was saw in the locker room with he had a little scooter because he couldn't step on his foot or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. He's not putting pressure on
But
the ankle.
there's like reports saying that he might be ready for the playoffs, and it's like to hold the clipboard. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to see him on the field. Like I
no,
don't. I
no,
feel I feel more confident with Brock than I have with anybody since
yeah,
probably 2019 Jimmy G.
true.
Um, but like it's just been a drastic change. Like we lost Debo and haven't skipped a beat. Like we would have lost Debo with Jimmy G, we would have not scored 37 last
Yeah,
week or whatever.
yeah. Yep.
But it's just like I
He's
don't want to see I don't want to see him back on the field.
what I like about Purdy is he's maximizing our talent, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
putting the players that were supposed to be the talent on this team in positions to make plays. Like he's not doing anything. Like I said, I'll still say it, he's not doing anything special. I watched this. I mean, okay, he has made some plays. That I will say, he's done some things that I'm like, this kid got. He's fucking talented. You know what I mean? Like he's a
Yeah.
4-year starter. He understands the system. You can tell he's playing with confidence. He's playing with poise. He has all of the tangibles that you need to be a starting quarterback in the league. No question there. I don't think he's doing anything elite as far as like he's not out there just Mahomesing it. but that being
You
said,
don't
he
need
doesn't
to with
have
this.
to.
You don't need to with this coach.
He doesn't have to with the system. So, but he's maximizing the talent. That's what as a quarterback, as a good quarterback in the league, you have to maximize the talent you have on the field. You can't lean on one or two guys. You got to say every guy on this field is talented. We have Pro Bowls across the board. Why are we not maximizing this talent? And that was the issue with Jimmy is he's finding one or two guys the entire game where there's 4 other guys that are all just as equally as talented that are wide open. We watch plays and you see guys on the other side of the field waving their hands like, well, what are you doing? I'm right here. And he's throwing it, checking it down to the running back or, leaning on Ayuk or whatever he's doing in that game. So that's what makes me excited about Purdy is he is maximizing the talent across the board. Now he's not leaning on any one or two guys. You could say he's leaning on Kittle, but he's just finding Kittle open. Like
Kittle's
it's not like
wide open.
He's not forcing balls into Kittle. He's not.
Kittle only has like 4 catches over the last like 3 games. He doesn't 4 catches a game. He's not making like 10 catches a game
because he's wide open. That's really what it comes down to. So he's maximizing the talent, and Jimmy just isn't that guy. Now, do I want him ready to go for the playoffs? Yeah, because shit happens. We've seen we've seen players get hurt. We've seen. I would much rather have Jimmy there than Josh Johnson waiting there. So. Yes. Do I want Jimmy G coming back for the playoffs? 100%. He wants to be on the sideline. He wants to smile, look pretty, get some Jimmy G chants in there when he comes out, for the start of the game. But the fan base, the team, I feel like for the most part, they're all on the Purdy wagon, and I think we ride this dude to the end. There's no reason for us to.
I feel much different this year. Last year when this story was coming in, because this is the same story basically we had last year, because he remember shoulder and it was like, oh, Jimmy G's coming back. Same exact story. Different feelings toward it though, because last year I was like, man, we need Jimmy G back because Trey Lance ain't right. I want to see Trey Lance, but not his second start coming, in the playoffs.
Into the
I would
playoffs.
like to see Jimmy G get us through this, right? And I think had Jimmy G been healthy, we would have been in the Super Bowl. I don't think we would have lost to the Rams. Saying that, this year feels totally different. Like Jimmy G gets hurt, he could come back. I don't want to see Jimmy G because I see Purdy, and Purdy is playing more confident than I've seen any quarterback play in the system. Even 2019 Jimmy G wasn't confident. Like he was playing good, but it was mostly at the expense of what Kyle was calling. I see Purdy, like, he's making reads. Like, he's looking at his right side, and then he doesn't see anything. He scans the field to his left side, and then he finds somebody wide open, right? We haven't had a quarterback do that. Alex Smith was probably the last quarterback who did that. Like, the last really successful quarterback to do that, Jeff Garcia, right? Like, Jeff Garcia was a good quarterback. But we haven't had a quarterback like that in a long time. Like, I see him make those plays. I see him... And he's so calm. Like, I don't see the happy feet. The happy feet make me nervous. When Jimmy G gets his happy feet, I get nervous. Because I know the next thing that's going to happen is an interception. Or something dumb. But he doesn't get happy feet. He's calm, scans. And then he has the elusive ability to escape. He's not fast. He's not Lamar Jackson. No. But he's like
he's quick enough.
He's like prime Russell Wilson quick. Like, man, you can't sack that dude. Like, for whatever reason, he is slithery. And... he makes the moves. He gets out the pocket, and I don't get nervous when he's out the pocket because he doesn't make stupid plays. Like
he's not going to make.
he's a rookie and he knows like, oh, let me just throw this thing away real quick and I got another play. Like Jimmy G doesn't make that decision. Jimmy G makes dumb decisions. He makes a great play to escape and
Yeah.
then he throws an interception. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
Or he gets sacked and gets hurt.
Right? It's like, dude, like just throw the ball away. But
Yeah,
this
yeah,
young dude is doing those things, so it's like I want to see him play. I don't want to see Jimmy G come
yeah,
back and play. I want to see if Jimmy G comes back and is the backup. We definitely need that. Like you've seen past
yeah,
times where like the Patriots, for example, when Drew Bledsoe was the backup, and then Tom Brady gets hurt in the AFC Championship game, Drew Bledsoe comes in, helps him win because he has experience. Same thing
yeah.
Jimmy G can
Yep,
do. If something
yep,
happens, he can come in a half or whatever, help us
yeah.
win because he has the experience to do that. He has the locker room. The locker room loves him still.
Yeah,
But I think,
and the one thing I will give Jimmy too is he's very professional about his job.
yeah,
He's
oh
not,
yeah,
he doesn't take shit to heart. He's not very emotional. Like, so we tell him like, hey, look, we're gonna ride Purdy we're gonna ride Purdy to the end, but we need you there just in case. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
And
he'd
I
be
don't
more
know
than willing.
what I don't know what is in the water in San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever they're at. But Jimmy Ward the same way. Like, hey Jimmy, I know
Yeah,
you were a top 100 player last year at free safety, but you're playing nickelback this year, and he in the public eye he hasn't complained one time. I'm not
yeah,
saying he's not complaining in the coach's office, like, bro, I want to play safety, but
yeah,
in the public eye, he tells us he plays a good soldier. Like, hey, like, I'm helping the team win, da da da,
yeah,
and he's having a great year. He has like 3 picks. He's
yeah.
playing great.
Yeah.
He's like one of the top rated nickelbacks. Like,
And
he
he
is a
was a
Swiss Army
corner.
knife.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it says a lot to the coaching staff, and a lot of people want to talk shit about Shanahan and they want to talk about whatever else. But realistically, like the reason why these players are doing that, the reason why they buy into the system is because of the coaching. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's about what I mean. Starts in ownership down. Like it's a system now where you have everybody on the same page, right? We don't have this whole Trent Baalke, Harbaugh disconnect. Like
Jeez.
it's
Yeah.
a very clear, like we're all on the same page, we're all going the same direction, and the players are all echoing that same sentiment. So it's from the top down. Everybody's bought into the system. Everybody's bought into what we're doing, and that's what allows the players to go in there and get positions changed or playing time. You know, McCaffrey's a star. But he gets sat on the bench. You can tell he's wants to get back out there, but he's not on the sideline pouting like shit. Mitchell's about to
No.
get the second half carries. He's on the sideline like, let's
Let's
go, like let's
go.
win this game, like let's win this
Let's
game.
make it
So
happen. Yeah. And
yeah,
then like 2 weeks ago, after he's like, yo, and he was trying to run the clock out. Obviously, there was one drive where they ran McCaffrey 3 times, didn't get nowhere. The next drive, we put Jordan Mason out there, and he makes it happen. McCaffrey in the interview at the end is like, yo, that's the closer. Like
yeah,
here's the
yeah,
patch where he needs to go. He doesn't. Then nobody on the 49ers is like, yo, like those are my carries. What the hell? Like
yeah.
they're all just
What are
like,
you doing? Yeah,
they're just excited to see everybody succeed. The only person that's kind of been sketch lately is George Kittle. Like, I don't
yeah,
know what he's
yeah,
doing. Like the whole Jimmy G thing on national television, and then last week he, after being told not to go upfield, he goes upfield and takes a touchdown away from Ray Ray. And instead of being like, yeah, I know I shouldn't do that, like. It was just instinct that made it happen or whatever. He's like, I stole a touchdown. Oh well, who cares? It's like, bro,
yeah.
like,
Kind of laughed about it too. Like,
yeah,
I take your
like that's
touchdown, but
that was a little.
that was
I
gonna
don't know.
be,
I felt a little cringe on that. I was like, damn, George, like being a little
dude.
goofy right now.
That's I mean I said it our last recording. Like it's definitely felt like that. I don't know what it is. I mean, he's having a great, end of the season. He's playing hard. I know he wants a Super Bowl, so I know he's going to do everything he possibly can on the football field. But I definitely feel like his demeanor, his attitude, like it's one of those things where it could become cancerous real quick. And
Right.
as excited as I am for him, and as much of a Kittle fan as I am, I, I'm I'm at the point where that leadership's going to have to pull this guy in the offseason and say, look, if you can't get on board, like we have the other players to do it. And it's one of those things where as much as you don't want to turn the page on this guy, he's fucking talented. You don't
Had
you
that
don't
had that play been to Ayuk or Debo, that's what he said in the interview is not the same, or it might have
No,
been the same, but the reaction to it is not. Oh, it's just George being George. The reaction to it is going to be like the next time somebody asks, if Debo goes in there after he does that shit to him, Debo's going to like say something like, "Hey, fuck that dude. That was
yeah,
stupid. He's been that wasn't a team play, right?" Or Ayuk might even say this. Ayuk is speaking up this year. Ayuk might have said the same thing
dude.
because it was Ray Ray. It was like, oh, it's just George being George. It's like, bro.
And Ray and the thing about Ray, and that's why he didn't say that is because he knows like he's the special teams guy. Like he's getting this playing time because Debo's hurt, and that's fine. Like dude, he looks fucking. I love Ray. That's I was telling
Yeah.
you. I feel like he's better with the ball in his hands than a lot of our wide receivers, including Debo. Personally, I just whatever he does, just the way he moves and the way he runs with the ball, it's exciting when I watch him play. But that all being said, like I said, it's one of those things where you the buying into the system actually means something. A lot of people think talent's going to trump that, but it doesn't matter how talented you are if you can't buy into what we're doing and what the culture is on the field. Like it's not going to matter how good you are. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Agreed.
And like I said, as much as he contributes, he's not Kelsey in the contribution sense of how much he is to our offense. So if you have to move on from him and you run with the tight ends that we have, Dwelly, fucking Warner, Croft, like all those guys, they're all capable of doing at least 80% of what he's doing. He has that extra
Yeah.
20, and we'll give him that, but the extra 20 doesn't make up for the amount of potential issues. It's not an issue yet, and I think people know Kittle's personality enough to where I think once he crosses that line, I think people will check him once it gets to there. But because we're full of a bunch of young players and a bunch of guys where Kittle's been there a lot longer, I think players are afraid to check him. so,
Yeah.
so
It's gonna
what
take
what
Trent Williams. It's gonna take Trent Williams or
it
Debo
that
or
or
somebody
are you
from like,
even
don't, yeah, don't do that shit again.
yeah?
Change his app
So
because that's the second time in 3 weeks that's like, bro, what are you
it
doing?
was a little cringy. Yeah. I definitely. It's funny that you said it because I wasn't gonna touch on it. I was kind of I kind of chalked it up to whatever. But yeah, it bothered me too. Like it just as a fan, I could only imagine as a player, like some of those teammates that are there, like what's this dude
And
doing, man?
the thing it did that bothered me the most was we got the completion and it was a touchdown. Great, I
Yeah,
love that part about it. But if you listen to Rock Purdy, they were like, "Hey, what did you think when you saw two players at the same time?" 'Cause I had to stop, I had to hesitate. Like,
yeah, yeah.
bro, and then they were so open, I just threw it.
And then
In the
Kittle
play
acknowledged
in the
we did the wrong
in
thing. Like,
Yeah, in the playoffs, that could be different because
yeah,
you're gonna be a great defense, right? And you run into somebody else. That could be an interception and a game changing play.
yeah.
You cannot do that. Don't do that. I understand the space is open, but it's open for somebody else for a reason because you're running across the field,
Yeah, you're drawing that coverage, which is why it's open.
right?
So yeah, you're talented enough to get behind that safety, but you got a talented safety who's able to recover. That could be picked. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
that, you're gonna
And now
draw the coverage right into that.
and exactly, you're making the quarterback hesitate with its
Yeah,
interception, and then now the play is different, and we lose a playoff game. That happens in the playoffs. Like I definitely think somebody's gonna get angry, and you're gonna
yeah,
see
yeah.
some fireworks. Like especially with everything leading up into the playoffs. Like if he continues this behavior into the last couple games, and then in the
Yeah.
playoffs it happens, and we lose because of it, I could definitely see offseason going differently with George Kittle. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully everything gets squared away and checked out. But
And when
yeah,
you're winning, you know what I mean. Those issues don't like
they don't
they're not
rise.
magnified the way that they are when you're losing. So
Right.
it's one of those things. We continue to win. I don't think it'll be addressed at least out in the open. There might be some players that pull them aside in the off season and coaches and even Lynch that pulls them in and says, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" But it won't be something that's very echoed or talked about. I'm sure the media will grab a hold of it when they can if he continues to act that way. But I think it'll be kept under wraps until shit hits the fan, and then that's when all of a sudden it's going to be very very apparent, and I think people will finally notice it. I think we pay attention a little bit more so than other people, but I think it'll
Yeah.
start to be clear to a lot of other players and a lot of other teams and stuff once if shit hits the fan, if it ever does, which I don't think.
Hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah,
Um, So we were talking about at the beginning. Vic Fangio might be going with Sean Payton. Earlier in the year, we thought Vic Fangio might be the replacement for D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
What do we do? I don't even know what we would do at D coordinator. D'Amico, I didn't know we were going to hire D'Amico either. So that doesn't really say much.
True.
I'm sure Kyle has a plan, but where do you
Yeah.
think we go? I thought Fangio didn't fit anyway because he's a 3-4 and Bosa is not a
Yeah.
3-4 DM.
He's not a 3-4 DM. No. We
So
definitely
I
have to
didn't
go
see
for
that
it.
fit. But I don't know where we would. Obviously, we want to stick with the 4-3 because of Bosa, because of Warner, because of Greenlaw. Um, I think the talent on the defense is best in a 4-3. I think to go to 3-4, you're asking Bosa to do something that he just doesn't. He's not Micah Parsons. He doesn't do that.
No.
So I think whatever we do, it has to be somebody in the same system, right? It has to be somebody running the zone 3, the 4-3 with the zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get another cornerback, we go man sometimes. I thought the way we ran the beginning of the year, we were like definitely the best defense ever. But
Yeah.
injuries happen. But I don't know. There's somebody on the defensive side that is the pass play coordinator, and they think that's the guy that's next. I don't know his name. He was a Detroit Lions defensive coordinator a couple years ago.
Yeah. I definitely think we go internally. I think they probably have somebody on the staff that's capable. And again, you have the talent out there. You kind of just have to roll it over. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to take as much skill set. I feel like D'Amico's definitely a great coach, and that dude deserves to be a head coach somewhere. It's going to suck to see him go, just like it did Saleh. But I think it'll be an internal staffing thing. I think Shanahan has plans. Shanahan and Lynch had plans for everything, and they knew going into this season if D'Amico was as good as they thought he was going to be, that was going to happen. So you always have contingencies built in, and you always are aware that what the next step is and who they're going to go to. So I think it's probably internally.
There's no 100% guarantee that D'Amico leaves either.
True. I mean,
he had chances last year. He didn't leave.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee he leaves. However, if he does, I wouldn't blame him for leaving.
No,
I do think the way that the hirings happen, right? Like I thought Saleh was a great motivator. Like he made the young guys believe they could be great.
Yeah.
And then D'Amico came in and was and showed them how to be great. Mm-hmm. And I think it just helped their evolution. Now I think the next person just needs to not fuck it up.
That's what I'm saying. The next guy doesn't have to do much because they're already poised and positioned to, and we have all the positions coaches that are able to keep their players doing what they're doing. Our defensive line coach is fucking great. He'll keep making that defensive line do what they're doing. We got our DB coach. We got everybody out there. It's already position wise keeping their players at the level that they are at this point. You just need a coordinator that can go in there and call a decent game. You know what I mean? So, but there'll be some head coaches losing their jobs, and there's some guys out there that have a lot of defensive background. So, who knows? Maybe a losing head coach will be okay with going on a winning team as a defensive coordinator and be able to jump in there. So, we'll see what happens.
Actually, that's a good point. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I have to wait till we never know what's in Kyle's brain until it happens.
Yeah. That's one thing they are good about is they don't put their cards out on the table very often.
Ever. Going a little further into the defense, though, you think the pass defense is a liability? There's been a lot of hate spewed toward Huff and Lamore this last couple of weeks. I think it's hard. Because the team is so good, right? The defense is so good. Yeah. The number one defense in the league. So you have to find something. Huff gives up long touchdowns. Like, okay, we give up one touchdown, a little bit over one touchdown a game.
And that's the thing. Yeah, it's not a liability. So my thing is when you have an aggressive team, you have guys, and it happens. It even happens to Bosa. Bosa's having a great season, and even now, even to this day, he still over pursues at times. Gets over aggressive, and then they're able to get outside and they're able to break big plays. Obviously, it's going to be more apparent when you do that in the passing game versus the run game because you're going to get a 60-yard touchdown versus a 30-yard run. You know what I mean? So when you have an aggressive defense that likes to play aggressive, likes to hit people in the mouth, and sometimes they over pursue, you're going to get times where shit breaks down. It's going to happen. The thing is it's not a liability because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're in the spot they're supposed to be in. They make the plays. They don't allow those plays to happen often. So yeah, you might get one big play and it might give you a little bit of momentum in that moment, and then you get deflated again because you go 3-and-out 4 times or turn the ball over twice or get sacked three times in the leading up to that. So is it a liability? Sure. Is there any team out there that I feel like, because even right, Kansas City's out there doing some big things, and there's all these offensive teams that are moving the ball, and but none of them are, other than maybe Miami.
I think 3 teams can exploit it. And all 3 teams are in the AFC.
AFC.
Yeah, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. I think those are the only 3 teams that could really make that liability the reason why we lose.
Yeah, broadcast that liability, for sure.
Saying that, because if D'Amico's like, hey, I know this is a liability, I also think he will coach against that too, right? Like, in those games, you'll see a lot of dink and dunks. Like, dinking and dunking against the Niners is not what you want to do because you're going to get smacked in the mouth by Dre Greenlaw, or you're going to see a heat-seeking missile and Fred Warner diving at you from 10 yards away. Like, it's not what you want to do. And so I think that the coaching staff is smart enough to realize, like, all right, these teams can go over the top against us. We're going to protect against that. We're going to play deep, come forward and make tackles. I don't think there's anybody in NFC that could really make that liability. Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, but that's going to be breaking contain. That's going to be Hurts doing things that only Hurts can do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a liability that comes back and smacks us in the mouth. I think it's going to be something that I don't even think it's a liability. I think it's something that the defense knows what they're great at, and man, we gave one over the top. All right. We'll get the next time. We're gonna get 2 picks. The next 2 drives, we're gonna get 2 picks. So it's like
that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't see it as a liability. I see it as is there going to be breakdowns on every great defense? Yeah, because I'm sure we can go back and find film on the Ravens. We can find film on the Bucks. We can find film on all these great defenses, and they probably gave up 1 or 2 touchdowns like that. Like it's going to happen. So my thing is if you're perfect for 95% of the game, and at 5% of the game you give up touchdowns, you're still winning the game. So
right. And they blame Huff. I've seen a lot of hate for Huff, and it's like 3 of the plays like weren't Huff's fault. You could tell just by the way the play went. Right, there was one where he was covering a outside receiver and a inside receiver. Like he had to choose. He chose one. It was obviously on somebody else breaking their coverage. There was another one where he was trying to tell Ward's like there was a pick coming. They didn't listen to him, and they got picked, and then the guy got deep. That play got called back, I think, for holding. And then there was another one, I think against Seattle. It wasn't him.
Greenlaw, right?
He just looks like it's him because he's the last line of defense. It's not like
He's going to be the guy in the vicinity, but if you understand as a safety, your job is very rarely to play man coverage or to even play coverage. Your job is a zone. Your job is a specific area. So of course you're going to see safety in an area where the ball's getting caught. And granted, I did see there was a couple times where the ball got behind him. So that's one thing. He's not overly fast, and that was his criticism coming out of the NFL. And that's fine. He doesn't have to be in the system, though. And that's my thing. You can have a fast guy. You can have guys like Jamal Adams and all these other guys that are quick and they do whatever, but they're not bringing the amount of skill that Hufanga brings across the board. At the end of the day, when you're that talented, you're going to always get found. They're going to try to find something to pinpoint.
Right. Last year we had a great safety, whatever you want to say, that didn't let nothing get behind him. However, we didn't get the game-changing plays either. Like we didn't get the interceptions, we didn't get the tackles for losses, we didn't get the sacks, we didn't get the sacks. Like Huff is doing different things than past strong safeties in this defense.
Yeah, he's individually not the best player on the field, but he also changes the way the defense plays the defense, and he allows this defense to do what they're doing. So it's one of those things where everybody on that team is.
He's not the greatest athlete, but he's going to make you make decisions that you wouldn't normally make. And if
Yeah,
you
and
get
that
them once in a while, like you get them once in a while. Shit, Ed Reed got once in a while. Deion Sanders got once in a while. People get got. It's the NFL. You're getting paid millions of dollars too.
yeah,
I don't know.
and that and
I didn't see it
that's
as hate. I didn't see it as bad as it was. I think there's one weakness that the defense has, maybe two, but it's in the pass game. It's not in. It's deep and in the run. Deep and then
yeah,
on the more side. I
yeah,
don't see
yeah.
there's any. You have to nitpick something, and that's what they're nitpicking. Stupid.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There always has to be something, right? Nobody can be perfect. So every analyst, everybody's gonna go and go, they're near perfect, but
Yeah.
there's this
Here's how
liability.
you get
So
them.
yeah,
Here's the secret to beating them. Here's the secret to making $1 million so you could be rich for the rest of your life. Shut up. I
yeah,
hate
exactly.
this.
So
I hate this.
I'm not worried about it. Like you said, I think there's only a couple teams that can exploit it, but I also think we have a coaching staff that's equipped well enough to where if the team does start to exploit it, they can adjust and get players in the right position. And because we have players that are team players, they'll do what they're told to do, not what they want to do at that point. You know what I mean? So it's not one of those things where I think is very, it's not alarming to me. I didn't see anything that I'm like, fuck, if we run into the right team, we're fucked. Like it's not anything like that.
All right, agreed. I agree with that. So let's go into this week. We're playing the Raiders. For traders because they're traders, man. They really fucked Derek Carr.
Yeah, they definitely definitely did
I
that.
mean, I'm gonna watch the game, obviously, but it doesn't intrigue me anymore.
No,
They got
it's not really exciting. It's not really exciting for Raider fans. They're at this point resorting to just talking shit about the Niners, opposed to being excited about the game. Like
right.
it's kind of funny. I'm seeing all the different social media things. They're coming out and they're and talking about our past Super Bowls and our past this and our past that, and I'm like, you guys aren't talking about anything past Raiders because the past Raiders historically have been garbage. So of course you're not going to talk about anything but our
Right.
past issues, right? But it's a rivalry nonetheless. I'm gonna be excited to watch the game and still see it happen, you know. But yeah, it doesn't
I'm
hold the same weight that it did a couple
I'm
weeks
gonna
ago.
watch the
Which
game. I'm gonna watch the game because I expect there to be we're on a record break broken in this game. I'm expecting Nick Bosa to get 3 sacks, so I'm gonna
yeah,
watch it. So I want to see that happen. I also want to see Purdy do good again, and those
yeah,
two things I'm looking forward to. However, the Raiders, I don't think they're gonna pose any threat. I think
no,
they finally gave up
I
on
think
the
at this
season
point
early.
I think they chalked the season up at this point. Stidham is the placeholder, so they can lock up their high draft pick. So it's nothing that I'm concerned about, or I'm more concerned. I think I'm more going to be more in tune in what happens in Philly than I do what happens in our game, because
Exactly,
What happens in Philly
it's
can
more
determine
important
what we
for
do
us.
next week. Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause-
'cause
yeah. So
yeah. If we win, I mean, I think we're winning both games, whether we play our starters the whole game or not. Um, but I think if Philly loses next week, you're going to see a lot more of Nick Bosa than we would expect.
yeah, I think we'll see a lot more
And
of the players as a whole than we expect. I still think by halftime we're subbing in players by that
yeah,
point, but changes the game. It changes the dynamic of the game. The amount of weight that game holds versus right now at this point. The next two games we could lose out. I wouldn't even be mad at it. But if that
I don't
meant
expect it though.
no, I don't either. But I'm saying, like, if Philly locks it up, I don't even care if we beat the Cardinals. Good job, you beat us.
Yeah,
Woohoo! But I would rather go into the playoffs healthy and are ready to go than to risk playing a player unless we're playing for something at that point. I was
right.
telling Berto, and I know he talks a lot of shit. So I know his reasoning why we shouldn't play for number two is because he thinks we would lose.
So
My
who?
reasoning is that I don't know. He thinks that we play any of the Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions or all these teams. Yeah, that's what I said.
Green
I said
Green
okay,
Bay was
Berto.
better. Green Bay was better last year. What happened? Green Bay was better the year
Yeah,
before. What happened?
yeah. I'm not
I,
concerned about positioning. I think it's not as important as being healthy. So that's my argument. Is playing for the number two seed isn't that important to risk getting people hurt.
I
Now, if we're playing for the number one seed, that holds a lot more value at that point. We get an extra
yeah.
bye. We get time for our players to get healthy. We got a home game. We get to play in Santa Clara. That's all.
That's where I was gonna go. So I don't know what it is in the NFL, but I know like the NBA, right? So like the NBA, the playoff games, they get like every home playoff game they host is like they make like $5 million or something, and then you get to the
Yeah.
finals and it gets to be like $12 million per game, right? I don't know what that is for a NFL playoff game. I'm assuming it's a lot because there's so
Yeah.
little of them.
Yeah.
So I think that even if the coaches were like, we don't care what seeding we got, the owner does, and with the owner caring, I don't know that we will not play for the number 2 seed because that's an extra home playoff game, which could be
True.
tens of millions of dollars. That I don't even know what the NFL teams make per playoff game. So that could be a reason why we play. And we're like, if we're at the end of the year, like, why are we playing for this game? That's probably why. It's because there's money on the line for the owner.
True.
And saying that, like, if we get the number 2 seed, I'd rather not travel because I was listening to somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they brought it up. If we get the 3 seed, right, we have to travel to Minnesota, and then the next week we have to travel to Philadelphia.
That's true.
That would be terrible because you'd have to travel, come back, travel, or do you travel, stay, and travel? Like I would rather. Obviously, I think we would rather have the 2 seed as 2 home games and 1 game away, rather than having travel.
True.
And travel, but the Super Bowl's close, so the Super Bowl's pretty much our home because we were there in 2020 for like 8 games. So they know that they know that facility. But I think I'd rather get the 2 seed and hopefully lock up the 1 seed. I said like 6 weeks ago. I told everybody in the group we're gonna win out and we're the number 1 seed. They don't believe me. So I think Philly loses this week. I think we're the 1 seed. I don't know. They might not beat the Giants either. Especially
That's the thing. That game they can definitely lose, even with Hurts. I think it's a division game. It's a tough game. Giants are playing for a playoff game, so I mean, I think they can lose that game no matter what. The Saints game is really what's going to determine it for me.
And I wouldn't put Hurts in this game because he's not 100%, and this defense hits hard. They don't play. So
I was telling Bertie the same thing. I'm like, you don't understand. Like the Saints offense is garbage. Sure, they're not. They're garbage. But that being said, you still don't put the team that still is playing for something, right? The Saints still have an opportunity to make the playoffs at this point. So they're not going to go in there and take that game lightly. They're going to go in there and they're going to smack you in the mouth. And that defense is aggressive. Like they beat up on us even at this point when we were playing. So it's not. They're not soft. Like
no. You're not going to run the ball on them. Like they have a good run defense, and then pass defense. They got veterans, so they're smart. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't see this as a gimme for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially if they play Jalen Hurts. If they play Jalen Hurts, I could see a situation to where they re-aggravate that injury. Unfortunately, I don't want to see him get hurt. I'd rather him be healthy for the playoffs because when the 49ers beat the fucking Eagles in the playoffs, I don't want no complaints. I don't want no one bitching. It seems like every time the 49ers get a win, somebody's got something negative to say.
There's always an excuse. There's always going to be an excuse. So I'm not worried about it at this point.
But I'd rather him be 100% going into that game rather than 75%. So I don't know. I saw a report today. They're not sure who they're starting. With them saying that, the coach said that, Sirianni. So with him saying that, I think he's acknowledging that Hurts is not 100% yet.
Yeah.
And he's acknowledging how physical that defense is at the same time. So I know Hurts finished the last game that he played with the injury. However, I wouldn't put him in this game if he's not.
I would either. I personally set him to the playoffs. I mean,
I think even if they lose the number 1 seed and they're the number 2 seed, they could still do everything they need to do as the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
I don't see the number 1 seed being the reason why you play your quarterback who's not 100% against a very, very physical defense.
Yeah, and risk losing him for the playoffs where that's actually important. Yeah. I think home field advantage isn't important as Hurts to that offense. So
exactly. I think Hurts is. I mean, they played good last week against the Dallas Cowboys. However, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys defense is that great. I think they
haven't been that great. I mean, what they're allowing average like 28 points a game the last 3-4 games. So I mean, they're not. They're good, but they're not the caliber that everyone thought they were early on.
Mm-mm. And they're a good defense, but they have more weaknesses than they are elite at, right? They're elite at pass rushing, and they're elite at ball hawking, but they're not great at pass coverage skills, and they're not great at run stopping. They're they're actually one of their weaknesses run stopping. They terrible. Teams are averaging ridiculous amounts of yards running against them.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I just think that Dallas and the Minnesota Vikings defense is fucking horrible. So I just don't think those teams will stack up against Philadelphia, whether they play in
No.
Philadelphia
Yeah.
or wherever they're playing in the playoffs with a healthy Hurts.
I think it's definitely
Uh,
setting up to the Eagles Niners NFC Championship. So
I agree. I agree. I could honestly see Tom Brady doing something crazy, um, just
yeah,
because he's Tom fucking Brady. And
just
in
for
the
the
NFL,
time.
in the playoffs, you understand like a smart quarterback can do a lot for a team,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
he doesn't have a bad offense. He just has a bad offensive line. The defense is mediocre, so I could see that. I could honestly see them sneaking past Dallas and sneaking past
Yeah.
Minnesota if those are the teams they
They,
play.
they they have the ability to do so. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting playoffs for sure.
I don't know. Now, if they come
I
against the
think
49ers again, I don't see that. Another thing I don't see, why I don't see Minnesota beating the 49ers is because teams that have quarterbacks that are statues against us, they don't
oh
fare
yeah,
well.
that doesn't fare well.
They don't
Not at
fare
all.
well at all. So I don't see that. I don't. Only team I see beating the 49ers is the Philadelphia Eagles. Um,
If
but
if
yeah, we kind of got off topic when we were on the Raiders, and then we were going to talk about Max Crosby. If the Raiders do win, this guy's going to have like 6 sacks. That's the only way I see him winning. Other than that,
yeah,
this game's over. He's been playing
yeah.
great this year, though.
Max Crosby's good, dude. I feel like he's definitely
Oh no, you cut out.
should. I think they don't think the hell.
You're cutting out.
I am cutting out. I don't know what's going
Oh,
on.
there, you're back. You're back. You're back.
All right, for sure. No, yeah, I think he's definitely underrated. He's talented as hell. Man, he's not Nick Bosa, but he's
Right.
talented, and I think it would take something drastic like that to give them a shot. I still don't think they stand a chance, even if they were to sack us 10 times. But I think he'll. He
I
had a
don't think
great
they're gonna.
season. I think he definitely deserves to be at least talked about as one of those elite guys.
I think I think if he gets 2 sacks, we're running the ball the rest of the game.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
maybe
I don't think we're giving him a chance, honestly.
that's true. Yeah,
I think Kyle's gonna go in with the admission just to win this game in the first half and put everybody on the ice the rest of the game.
well, he's just gonna play over the top of McGlinchey, so he's gonna have an opportunity every play to get a sack because that dude sucks.
But he hasn't really allowed a sack in like 5 weeks.
It's because he has Purdy.
I know.
Purdy's actually able to escape and actually able to get the ball out of his hands. If it was
I
Jimmy
think
back there, it'd be a sack. He'd be
I think
allowing like 3 4 sacks a game.
the only sacks that have been allowed like the last 5 weeks have been through the center and left guard, no right guard, the center and right guard. Where's
Yeah,
Burford plays on the right. Burford, yeah, that's on the
yeah,
side. So I don't know. He's been playing all right, or at least he's been playing good enough for Purdy.
yeah.
But I'm not forgiving him for those fucking false starts at the 5 yard line. You son of a bitch! You better keep yourself. I'd rather you just sit there than get a false start. God damn it.
Oh man,
Lancer Purdy for 2023. This is really like I don't know. Every time Purdy steps on the field, I think it's more Purdy. Like the only knock on Purdy is he doesn't have the arm strength as Lance.
no, but yeah, man. I think at this point you go in there. Purdy's QB1, Lance is QB2, and the only way Lance takes QB1 back is if he just outplays him in camp, outplays him, and wins that team's confidence. The thing is, and we've said it multiple times, the team's confidence in you is what matters. And as
Yeah,
cool as he is with the team, and people are excited about him, that they're going to have all the confidence in the world for Purdy going into next season. Where Lance is still going to be up in the air at that point. So you have to win the team over before you can win that position. And I don't see him doing that. Not for a while. And at that point, like I said, do you risk creating a controversy, or do you sit him, let him keep developing? Like I said, bring in a guy like Matt Ryan or somebody who can help develop him, his ability, and he's still young. Like that kid,
20 years old. He's not even
just
20. He can't even drink yet.
yeah, he's not even legal. So at this point, like he's ages of like sophomores in college at this point. So like he's not. There's no rush for him to be the guy now. You know what I
Now,
mean?
yeah,
I think you roll with Purdy until Purdy starts to hit his ceiling, right? And then if he hits that ceiling and it's not enough to continue down the path that we're going, and then you have to look at, okay, whose ceiling is higher now at that moment. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I
And
think I think I'm saying Purdy.
Purdy reminds me a lot of a young Tom Brady. Tom Brady when
Yeah.
he came in, actually, he might even be better than a young Tom Brady. But Tom Brady, his first year was a dink and dunker.
Mm-hmm.
Do what the coach tells me to do. Throw for 180 yards, maybe a
Yeah.
touchdown, but no picks. That was the big thing. No picks. No stupid decisions.
Yeah, shit.
Purdy's not making.
Middle aged Tom Brady. I feel like Tom Brady's always been that, and I don't feel like
He
Tom Brady's
was.
ever done.
I think after the Randy Moss year, Tom Brady like became the one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL
Yeah,
without the
yeah,
because Peyton Manning was obviously the best for all those years, but after that
yeah,
Randy Moss year, I think that's when Tom Brady was like, "Oh, I can do what I want out here. I got this."
yeah.
And
I am an elite quarterback.
yeah, I just think he's not making Purdy's not making the dumb decisions. I know he threw a pick last week, but that was on the receiver, not on him.
That was
Like
completely on his receiver. Yeah,
I mean, it was behind him a little bit, but you're an NFL
he should
receiver,
have.
you make that catch.
You make that catch. Yeah. Mhm.
Right. There was one again, the one that he threw to Quandre Diggs that he dropped, and then there was the other one that the Buccaneer guy intercepted, but there was a penalty.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so he's made three bad throws in 5 weeks that I can
yeah,
remember. Like Jimmy G threw three bad throws every game. Like it was like, God
yeah.
damn, why are you
Easy.
doing that?
Yeah. Why did you make that throw? Why didn't you just throw that away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've said
I know
I've
there's like plays
said
where he
that was a
missed
bad pass, maybe a handful of times with Purdy, where I've made that comment with Jimmy every game, multiple times a
a
game.
handful of times. Yeah,
So,
and I know there's plays where he missed. Like I think he missed George Kittle last game. There was the one
yeah,
play where he underthrew Ayuk. He still got the touchdown though. I mean, I don't care if you miss. Like you miss, everybody's gonna miss. You're not perfect. Like
yeah,
you made the what it does do though. George Kittle's open. You threw the ball there. Now the defense is like, holy shit! Now we got to cover that because this
yeah.
guy's
That's
going
the
right.
thing. That's what I mean. He maximizes. That's what I was saying when he maximizes the talent. He gives the opportunity for everybody to make a play. So then it affects the defense. The defense goes,
Yeah,
we can't key in on one or two players anymore. We have to watch the entire field. And unless you're a defense like the Niners or like Philly or like Dallas, where you can kind of do that, you have the talent across the board to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to hang with a team like that.
no,
You can't cover everybody, and then you have a quarterback that is able to make you pay for those mistakes. Purdy's able to do that. So
right. And now you can't. It's like with Jimmy G, right? You could just leave the sidelines pretty much uncovered because
yeah,
he wasn't going to
yeah,
go there.
because he wasn't going to throw there.
Purdy will throw it. He might not get it there, but he's gonna one. He throws it with anticipation, so it's not in danger. And if it is short or whatever, now at least the defense is like, "Oh fuck, he'll make that throw. Now we
Yeah,
got to cover that."
yeah,
And that puts pressure on the defender. Now when a receiver fakes that way, it's like, shit, I got to cover that.
yeah,
It all helps the offense, like you were saying,
yeah,
maximizes everybody. I like Purdy a lot. I was nervous when he came into the Miami game. I was nervous when he played against the Seattle Seahawks. Every week I wasn't nervous in his decisions. I was just nervous going into the games because he's young. But
yeah.
he doesn't play young. He plays
That's always
he
been my
plays
thing. That was my biggest concern was he's young and we don't have a guy behind him to fall back on if shit hits the fan.
right.
That was always the thing that scared me. At this point, I'm saying worst case scenario, we bring back Jimmy. We have him there in the cut
Instance.
waiting.
Yeah.
Just in case, but in the far distance, like I said, smiling on that sideline, doing what he was doing when Trey was in there, and then if shit hits the fan or something, God forbid
Get back
happens,
in.
he's ability to get back in there and at least be good enough to keep us going the path that we're going. So
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I actually love the idea of Jimmy being the backup. Much rather have Trey as the backup, but they didn't bring him back. However, Elijah Mitchell's supposed to be coming back, so that would be nice having him, Mason,
yeah, yeah,
and CMC. That could be really good going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think that's a really
second
solid.
half, it goes a lot, dude. There's a couple of games we did that with Mitchell and had him come in and actually close the game, and it looked so
Mm-hmm.
nice. Got fresh legs. You got defenses
Even
that's already been
Mason.
beat up all game. Yeah, oh yeah, Mason's
Mason's
doing
look
his
good
job too.
too. I
Yeah,
would like to
so
see more of Mason, but I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know if Kyle doesn't trust him because he's a rookie. I don't know, but he's played every time he's on the field. He's made plays every
yeah,
single time, whether it's in
yeah,
a crunch time scenario or a trash time scenario. He's always made great plays.
yeah,
Makes teams feel him, and I think that helps us. I think at the end of the day, it helps
yeah,
us. He's
yeah.
big. He's strong. So CMC is not that big. He's still strong and
No,
powerful. He's quick. I just think that we need to see more of Mitchell and Mason in the first half. I
yeah,
would like to see.
yeah,
I honestly would like to see at least Mason in the first half, and then when
yeah.
Mitchell comes
I
back,
like a good split of carries. Yeah,
yeah, and then let Mitchell split the carries in the second half. That's fine.
yeah,
But I do like to see more of them. Especially, I understand why you don't take out CMC though, because it puts so much stress on the defense.
yeah, yeah. You have to account for
Because
him, which is different.
yeah,
Yeah,
everywhere he's at, doesn't matter where he's at. But that
yeah.
doesn't mean we can't put him and Mason on the field at the same time, though. Like
True.
you can do
That's
that.
true. He's ran out of slot, ran out of the fullback position plenty of times. So
Debo might be coming back this week.
yeah, I'm seeing that. I think he probably ends up sitting this game. I mean, I'm sure he's going to want to play. He's out there running, looking like he wants to play. But
Yeah.
I think
I just want to. If he does play, I'd only want to see him for like 10 snaps. Let him get his.
yeah, yeah,
Let
yeah.
him get a
It's going to
little
be just
play.
yeah. Let him get warmed up and yeah, exactly.
I don't want to see him for a full game. And same thing. Maybe 10 snaps this game, 10 snaps the next game, and then let him go into the playoffs healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I same thing where I would like to see CMC get a break too, but
Going into the
see,
playoff, yeah.
gotta get up quick. If we get up quick, I wouldn't mind seeing Jordan Mason close out the rest of the game.
No, me neither. Even a Josh Johnson close out. So
Right.
give that man some snaps.
Yeah,
He's
so he
earned
can
it.
get ready too, because he's definitely
Yeah,
the backup as of right now. Unless they know something we don't, and Jimmy definitely is going to be the backup. I would like to see Josh Johnson get some plays actually,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm not talking about like just kneeling plays. I want to see him
No,
actually
no, no,
play.
not victory formation. Like some actual
Yeah,
throws in there. Yeah,
yeah, see him throw the ball a little bit. I don't know. I'm excited going into the
me
playoffs.
too,
Every
man.
time.
Let's go, let's go!
I don't know if you remember, but the Patriots never started fast, except the one year where they went undefeated. They were always a slow starting team. Win one out of the first three, and then win the next nine. I think you cut out. Well, I'm talking to myself now. Hey guys, I think he's out. I think he ended up losing his stream. So that's it for this week's edition of Straight Shooting with the Boys. Tune in New Year's Day to watch the Raiders, fucking Raiders, against the 49ers. Minus Derek Carr. We'll see y'all then. Tune in next week. We might have two shows next week. I'll let you guys know. And Happy New Year, everybody.